So San Antonio is already a pretty spooky city. It's got a lot of history, I'm sure y'all know. And if you don't, that's a story for another time. One night, or actually it was almost dusk. I had my kids in the car with me, my daughter's in the back seat, my son in the front seat. My brother-in-law was in the car behind me, so he saw the whole thing. We were at a three-way stop where I'm facing like a dead end basically, and then the road, is you could turn right or left, and I'm waiting to turn left, and the traffic lights were taking forever when we were on lockdown. And there's really no one on the road. There's like a bus parked at the bus stop almost a block away, but there's not really people around or anything either. We're just sitting there waiting for the light, and all of a sudden this woman in an older pickup truck, she zooms through the light, and right in the middle of the intersection, she jumps the curb with her two right tires and jumps out of the driver's seat. And she's just like screaming, looking like standing in the doorway of the driver's side of the car, the truck, and she's standing there facing the back of her truck as if someone is behind her, and she's yelling at them, and she's just talking, and like we can't hear her, but we can see the whole scene. And so I was like, oh, poor thing, she must be having a bad trip. And then I was like, oh, my kids. And I was like, I mean, she must not be feeling well. I hope she gets home safe, and like I was like, oh shit, what's wrong with this lady, And so this goes on for a good while, and me and my son are both looking around, and I'm like, but who's she yelling at? I don't see anyone. And I'm like, wait, this is weird. What's going on here? I was like, she's got to be on something, right? So, right before the light changed, man, I mean, her timing was perfect. She jumps back in her truck and she starts driving, and she turns and goes past me. And when I look in her eyes, I did not see drugs or like high. I saw fear and anger and just like hyper emotional. She didn't look impaired, but I wasn't paying attention. I just was like, whoa, okay, so this lady's not high. Something else is going on. She looked scared. And I was like, that was so weird. I wonder what she was screaming at, like cuckoo, And right away, my 6 and 8-year-old daughters in the back seat, who saw the whole thing, and my brother-in-law's in the car behind me, so he saw the whole thing too. My daughters immediately say, but mommy, you didn't see those men that were wearing black clothes and black hats? And I was like, what? And I'm looking at my son, and I know I didn't see anybody because the whole time this is going on, I'm looking around telling my son, I don't see anyone. Do you see anyone? Like, who's she talking to? She was tripping. So it wasn't like these men in black like erased my memory. It was just like, for some reason, I couldn't see them, which is weird because normally if something paranormal happens, I see them. And one of my daughters, who's very much an empath, she sees stuff too. But I don't like to, she's just too little. So I try not to talk about it around her unless she volunteers the information, or like if she has a really bad nightmare, then I'll hear her out and I'll just listen to her. But I don't feed her any kind of ideas or like try to psychoanalyze it or anything like that. I'm just kind of like waiting for her to get old enough to realize that, she's an empath, and spirit world sometimes intertwines with our own. Well, anyway, so I'm freaked out because there's no way my 6-year-old and 8-year-old somehow managed to corroborate this story in a millisecond, and like, why would they lie? So one of my daughters only saw one man wearing black, all black pants, black shirt with a hat in the road. And I'm guessing that that's the direction she was hollering in. And my other daughter saw both men, but the one she was watching, she said, was walking around the front of her truck and came up behind her where she was standing in the driver's door, like as if he was trying to get in. I said, so he was trying to get in, and she was like, that's what I thought. But he was holding a black box in his hand. And then I saw him get close to her, but after that, I didn't see what happened because she got back in her truck. So I was like, that's crazy. Like, my daughter saw something that I didn't even see. And my son is a total atheist, completely logic, rational minded person. He's like, as an atheist, I refuse to accept that something strange and unexplainable has just happened, and don't ask me about it in the future or whatever. Like, he's just super sarcastic. But I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, y'all were with me. Like, this stuff happens all the time. I see stuff like this all the time. But never in my life have my daughters or anyone else that I've been with, or even myself, like, thought, like, a situation with Men in Black, you know? Like, especially my, like, tiny, like, innocent 6-year-old, like, Mommy, those men were wearing black clothes and black hats. They both had black hats on, and they were both wearing black clothes. And so, I mean, who's going to question the innocence of a child? My children are very innocent and sweet and precious, and they wouldn't have any reason to, like, lie or make something like that up. So where we're going is just a few minutes away. I'm taking my family, you know, to buy pizza, and my brother-in-law is following so he can bring the pizza that I buy for them back to their house, because we're going to go eat at my house, and this place is by my house. So we get there and we're waiting outside for our order, and I asked my brother-in-law, so did you see that whole ordeal that went down at the stoplight? And he was like, yeah, that crazy lady yelling at nobody, San Antonio. And I was like, no. Let me tell you what the girls said. I made a remark about, I wonder who she was yelling at or what was going on, if she was having some kind of episode. And the girls both at the same time said, Mommy, you didn't see those men that were dressed in black with black hats. And I said, and Aurora, one of my daughters, she said that one of the men was carrying a black box in his hand and that he was approaching her. And he was like, that's a real life encounter with the Men in Black. And I hadn't even thought about it till he said it, you know, duh. But my sister, she's being atheist, but now she's agnostic because too much weird stuff happens around me. And she just is kind of like, there's no explaining it. So she's like, oh, I guess I'm agnostic, you know. And I think that's great because, you know, always question everything. You know, anything's possible. That's what I love about life. But I was like, I'm not crazy. Your husband was there this time. Ask him what happened. And so he didn't hear my kids say anything crazy or see too much, you know, but he saw the lady, you know, jump her truck up onto the sidewalk and jump out in the middle of the freaking intersection and be screaming at nobody in the middle of the day. Like, the sun was going down. It's like daylight. And I'm like, this is just a normal day for me. But it was my first encounter with the Men in Black. And I've been trying to record this video for a while, but I'm tired of getting thumbs down and crappy comments like, oh, so no story, no story. Look, y'all, I have tried to record this story many times, and my phone was crashing every time. And I'm keeping it really short so it doesn't happen again. And I don't even have makeup on. I was like, you know, I'm just going to try it on a day where I look like hell and just try to tell the story really quick and see if I can't just get it to record and slap it up there. Because I'm tired of people asking me. It's like, I wanted to tell it, you know, because it's an intriguing story. It wasn't crazy detailed. I myself didn't see anything though. It's like from the mouths of babes. Like, my son's 17. He didn't see anything. But even when he was little, he didn't. Even if I was reacting to something that I was witnessing, my son was just like, huh? What are you talking about? Like, he's always been very science driven, very rational, and pretty much the opposite of that in every way. But that's one thing I love about my little boy. So that was my encounter. Brief. Thank God it didn't get much deeper than that. I hope it never does. My brief encounter with the Men in Black, we think. Just an interesting story. Creepy, you know? Creepy stuff like that happens to me all the time. Just like an everyday, regular thing. I got somebody here. Normally, my guests come and go. They'll come communicate with me in some way, and I'll either tell them to leave because I can't figure out what they want, or I'll try and help them, or I'll cry with them and like feel their pain. Normally I can't hear them, and they don't normally touch me. Usually I can just feel that they're near. But the one that's been out wearing his welcome the past 6 or 8 months, he will come up to me and grab me on my shoulders like a creepy guy that wants to give you a shoulder rub. Or he taps me in the middle of my back all the time. And I try to ignore it, and he scares the shit out of my friends sometimes. But sometimes he'll trip me, or I'll feel him just shove me down. And when I was really sick, it was really scary. He tried to shove me down the stairs a few times. I don't know what he wants though, because he won't really answer me. Most of the time I'm like, just go away. Stop. You're creeping me out. Get up. You are too pushy. Deal with enough pushy men that are alive. I don't need to deal with any pushy dead ones. But most people don't believe me, so I don't talk about it. But recently when I've had friends over, they'll be the ones that are like, what the fuck is that? What is that? One of my friends was like, that doll's moving. And I was like, calm down. It's okay. It's just Barbie. He was like, no, dude, no, I can't. Like, he had a full-on panic attack. I had to lay him down, like, give him some cold water and a cold wash rag. I was like, it's okay. It's going to be all right. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with your house, Cece? It's not my apartment. I cleanse it. Most of the time I can get them to leave. They like picking on me. But anyway, so let me know if you've ever had an encounter with a Men in Black, or maybe something similar. That one was definitely, I did not prompt that. Like, I never would have expected my little girls to pipe up and be like, Mommy, how come you didn't see those guys? Oh, and I didn't even mention, by the time we got back to my apartment and I was able to like have one of them, you know, one at a time, come talk to me and be like, hey, so tell me what you saw there, friend. You know, what happened? Tell me what happened. Because I know what Mommy saw. Now I want to hear what you saw. And neither one of them remembered at all. Like, my littlest one was like, maybe I saw somebody at the bus stop. And I was like, no, pumpkin. The bus stop's way far away from the intersection. Don't you remember the lady in the intersection? She was like, was she driving a little car? And I was like, no, dude, she was driving a truck. So that was what really freaked me out, because whatever the mind control thing is, it works differently on kids. But eventually, as the time was going by, and this is just like 15-20 minutes later, so like their memory of it was kind of changing and moving around. So it's like, maybe it's just different for kiddos. I don't know. It's an interesting thought. I never even stopped to think, oh, the Men in Black are real and they scramble your memory. And I mean, of course they have to have something like that until they're, you know, they've been hiding all these secrets that are out in the open from us for such a long time. They've got to have some kind of brain scrambler, I guess. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. They've had to use it on me too many times. My brain's fried. Anyway, this is getting a little long now. I just want to slap it up there so that whenever somebody's like, no story, so we don't get a story, I can be like, look, I finally finished it. Sorry, not sorry. I look like crap. Thank you, bye. But definitely amusing. Creepy, but still just the beginning. Still just scratching the surface of what I've got for you guys, man. I'm hoping that I can get better into some kind of routine where I'm recording. My phone just sucks. It's old. It's got a lot of pictures and videos on it, so my memory is full. I gotta find another way to record. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up and maybe follow my page, and hopefully I'll be able to get you guys more cool stories more often. And I'm really wanting to start like recording a cover album this year. I'm getting my voice back more and more, and it's being like feeling stronger, and going through some personal heartbreak, and like I feel like maybe recording some of those songs that remind me of the person that I love that I'm not meant to be with. I have a big long list, so maybe I'll start recording some songs and put them on here. And if you don't like that, that's okay. You don't have to watch those. You definitely don't have to watch them and say something horrible because you hate them. You could just go and do you. Have a fun day watching stuff that you do like. I mean, why get in that negative mindset? Why not just find something that makes you happy? Instead of watching something that you think sucks and then wasting your time and then having negative energy to burn and then giving it to me. It's just not fair. It's not right. Let's spread some positive forest fire energy or whatever. Spread it around, especially in traffic. Especially in traffic. I know we San Antonians, we need that. When I'm driving in traffic, I'm like, Lord Jesus, like, please send the happy, calm, peaceful, let's not die today energy out here in traffic. Don't jump the curb. Don't be yelling at the men in black. Be safe out there, guys. Have a good night.